All right, guys, welcome back to Friends of the Night. Now, today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about one of the most iconic and first ever UFO encounters, and it's the story of Betty and Barney Hill.
September 19th, 1961. Benny and Barney Hill were driving in the mountains of New Hampshire. They noticed a strange light off to the distance. The light began to move closer towards them. Barney stopped his vehicle, got out with his binoculars, and stared into the ship, which was hovering not far from where they had stopped. Barney used his binoculars to stare into the craft where he could see a group of figures standing in the window staring back at him. He believed they were talking to him.
Now, a lot of people have tried to debunk this story, especially because it is one of the first ones ever announced, and it seemed to inspire a whole generation of other people maybe getting down the UFO alien conspiracy route, as well as other people coming up with hoaxes along the way inspired off this story, being one of the first ones. So, after I've done a lot of research over the past couple years about this encounter, I think there's a lot going on in this story that leads me to believe that it could be a real encounter.
Months passed, and they both had a feeling they were not alone. Barney began to suffer repeating headaches. The headaches were tense and kept him up many nights without any sleep. After months of struggling, they both went to talk to a psychiatrist in Boston, Benjamin Simon. Betty and Barney were both hypnotized in hopes to recall the incident in greater detail. While Betty was under hypnosis, she recalled what happened in very graphic detail. She said the ones that were in the craft were on the ground surrounding their car. The car's engine died, and the figures led both Benny and Barney into the woods, and then took them on board for physical examinations. Psychiatrist Benjamin Simon states that Benny and Barney both gave exact interviews under hypnosis. Both stories were so accurate, it left Benjamin in chills. They recall the figures being around 5 feet tall, about Betty's height, wearing a one-piece dark suit, hairless with no ears and oversized eyes. Psychiatrist Benjamin could not believe that Barney could recall the incident exactly the same way. Prior to him meeting with Benny and Barney, he believed this all could be a hoax, but after his time spent with them both, he was left astounded.
Now, there's a video on YouTube by Dr. I believe his last name's Grandy. If you type it in, you'll see it. His name's Dr. Grandy, and he debunked the story, and he believes that they were lying. And, you know, in that day and age, the story came out in 1961, a story like this could take off, and it could really put you on the map as a storyteller, and, you know, creating a financial gain to, you know, take advantage of and be able to ride for a long time, which they did. Betty was known to be at UFO and alien conventions talking and being paid hand over hand and really making a living off of this story when Barney passed away earlier. So I personally believe that there are key factors in this story that could be true, and I wanted to discuss with you guys today some of the reasons why I think that this could be a true story. So one of the key factors I think that's unique about this story, and that nobody has been able to really figure out what's going on, is that when Betty recalled the star map, she was able to do so, and she called it in a time where those stars weren't even out there to the public eye. So people at that time really didn't know the star map, and she was able to recall it. So I find that super interesting, and I think still to this day when people want to call this story a hoax, you know, how did Betty draw the star map?
Betty recalled under hypnosis the layout of a star map. She believed that the aliens showed her the different routes of the map that they have traveled, mostly pointing around the sun. She explained that the aliens were teaching her how the star map works. Betty then reproduced the map. Years later, high school teacher Marjorie Fisher saw the map and tried to find enough research to debunk Betty's claim and verify its accuracy. Many models were built in order to define the star map's accuracy. When Betty claims to have seen the map, it was 1961. When she redrew the map, it was 1964. At that time, many of the stars weren't discovered on her map. In 1969, the rest of the stars were discovered. It wouldn't have been possible for Betty to draw that map so accurately at that time, with no background in astronomy or any knowledge to draw that map. It left many curiously wondering how this could be. People believe the map could not have been drawn so accurately by anyone on Earth at that time. Most of the lines drawn on the map were barely visible to the naked eye, ranging in distances of 37 light years.
So right there, I think that's a key factor that this could be a true story. As well as when Barney talks about the story, you have to think that people of that time, if you look at other hoax stories, there's always a little bit of like a heroic moment, right? Like if you look at Travis Walton's story, he always adds in that he pushed the alien on the spaceship, and there's a part that puts a character in his head that he wants to portray. So whether or not you believe the fire in the sky story, there's parts of being heroic in those stories. Now, when Barney talks about his story, he talks about, his genitals being touched and examined. And, it's like that's something that's not very heroic. It's not something that you really want to talk about, and it's not something that you'd want to be known for. I mean, if somebody goes to prison and wants to tell their prison story, the getting raped or something like that isn't like the first thing you want to say about your experience. You know what I mean? So the way I see it is that Barney's story didn't really have a lot of heroic moments, and I find that pretty interesting.
The Air Force later confirmed that the night of September 19th, 1961, an unknown object was recorded and tracked on radar by the Air Force on the night of the Hills abduction.
Did go under hypnosis. They both recalled the same exact story. And, as much as Dr. Grandy wants to downplay this and say maybe they were just both under some type of like delusional disorder and they were both ill, I think the chances of that are very, very slim. I mean, how many people in your life have you met that both share that type of illness? So I think it's that the chances of them both being sick is slim to none. Now, the most unique thing that I find about this story is where they broke the story. And they broke the story at their church group. And the reason why I find this so strange is that people that attend church regularly really, really believe. People that go to church, they don't go to church and get involved in these groups because for any other reason other than because they share the same faith and they truly believe. And for them to go to their church group and break the story to them first and what they saw and what they're going through, to me is a sign that they were seeking help. So, it's one thing if they went to the local newspaper first or if there was radio station at the time or any type of publication, that would be one thing. But for the first person to know about this story was their church group, to me, that is a sign right there that says these people needed help and they didn't know where else to go besides to their faith and to the people that they love and think that they can help them. So that's what I think, guys. I think that these few reasons could be why the Betty and Barney Hill story is a true encounter. Later on in life, once Barney passed away, Betty was still doing the conventions and she was talking a lot. And, at some of these conventions, they went the wrong way. Maybe she started to spin the story even farther. I think, imagine telling the same story for so long and no one, not everybody believes you. So after a while, I think in her older age, she started to kind of add on to it a little bit and maybe try to push the boundaries on what truly happened even farther. But when it comes down to the core of the story, I do believe that they saw something that night. And I think that the key factors of being able to redraw the star map is definitely a key factor on some type of knowledge that Betty gained that evening. And there's no doubt about it. If nobody else can draw the star map, but she can, for anybody that's trying to debunk her claim, tell me how she was able to do that. Because I think if we can't get past that, we're still in the same spot. So guys, let me know what you think about the Benny and Barney Hill story. Do you guys think it was a true encounter, or do you think it was a hoax to build a financial gain and to get in conventions and talk and make a living? So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you soon.